Hello everyone and welcome. In advance of the AgGateway Annual Conference in November, the Education Committee has produced a series of webinars in conjunction with the other active committees in the organization. Our goal is to share the mission and agenda for each committee and to encourage members to get involved in the organization's activities in a deeper way through committee participation. My name is Paul Shriv. I am editor of CropLife Magazine, an AgGateway member organization, and I will serve as your session moderator. You are currently tuned into the Standards and Guidelines Committee session, and I am pleased to welcome Andres Ferreira, who will be presenting on the committee's behalf.
Thank you, Paul. Hi, everybody. This is Andres Ferreira, the Vice Chair of the Standards and Guidelines Committee, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of what this committee does in AgGateway. We'll go over the purpose of the committee, who participates in the committee, the current activities and benefits that they bring to the organization, the interactions that we have with other committees and councils, and the things we plan for the future, and also give you a few pointers to where you can find materials or supporting materials to explain what we do better. So the purpose of the committee is to coordinate the development of standards and guidelines and their maintenance and their publication. And it encourages collaboration among councils, and we respond to requests for assistance in these efforts of developing standards. And what happens in this committee is eminently technical in nature. Different councils have projects where they move in a direction of advancing the standards, and when they have a message or some other element they want to add to the standards, they send it to standards and guidelines for review. The people who participate in that committee are the current committee chair, who's Tiffany Smith, myself as the vice chair, and we have representatives from various councils, crop protection, crop nutrition, seed, and so forth. The people who are the representatives are members of the committee who are also participating in the activities of those councils, and so they provide back and forth communication. They both keep their council updated on the activities of the committee and also provide the committee with reports on the activities of the council. Of course, the committee has other members who are not necessarily representatives of any given council. In fact, all AgGateway members are welcome to join and participate in this committee. This committee provides a governing entity over the Ag-E standards. In other words, it has, in a way, it has a bit like the last word when trying to adopt some addition to the standards, and it mostly does that by just providing a system of checks and balances. Sometimes the addition that a given council wants to make is a bit narrow in scope, for example, and it's just targeted to their specific interest at the time of wanting to add it. When it goes through standards and guidelines, other people who are outside the project get to have a look at it and come up with questions. Usually those questions are along the lines of, well, couldn't we extend this a little bit in this way, and thus broadening the use of this message that is being adopted, for example. And usually, at least in my experience, I'm a fairly new member, those questions and suggestions are very well received by the council. And so we go back and forth a couple times, and we get the addition that may benefit others as well as that project. And we provide feedback and clarification as needed. Another thing we do is provide a mechanism for publishing standards and guidelines in the AgGateway wiki. As you can see on the slide, AgGateway has a wiki at that wiki.aggateway.org URL. All members are welcome to go in there and see what we have. In particular, we have things like generic web services guidelines. That's a very important document. Its purpose is to provide guidelines for producing and consuming web services among the companies in the agriculture industry. So it includes a sample web services description language or WSDL document that is designed to support business document exchange among different company systems. And so you can get it there. We also have RFID guidelines that have been developed. And the purpose of those is to define radio frequency identification tag usage, including standard formats and the usage of data fields, which can be used throughout all segments of the ag industry for shipping, receiving, inventory control, product and asset tracking, and other applications as adopted by AgGateway and its member organizations. We have another set of guidelines, the GPS coordinate reporting. That one came from Monsanto, one of our member companies. They wanted to collect GPS coordinates and net acres information for one of their crop seed products with a certain genetic trait, and to facilitate its traceability. So they proposed an extension to the standards to be able to represent that, and everybody got to chime in and extend that message a little bit, so its usage was extended beyond the initial narrow focus, and now everybody has it available. Then another thing that we do is provide support for the standards. So you know, since AgGateway standards cover a broad range of technologies, EDI, XML, barcodes, and so forth. A question that we get often is, you know, what standards are supported and what standards are not supported, especially since there's been a life cycle of these standards and successive versions of them. So sometimes people just want to know, but sometimes the question is motivated by implementation decisions that are very important as a company starts gearing up to implement the standards in a project. So it's important that AgGateway have a policy regarding standard support, and so that can be found in those guidelines. Another ongoing activity we have now is developing a template so that the different councils and projects can request changes to the standards or guidelines. and to sort of standardize and streamline that process. The other activity we have ongoing is gap analysis, looking to identify differences between our AgE standards and the OAGI standards. OAGI has a broader scope than our ag-specific scope here in AgGateway, and so we seek to incorporate what we're doing into what they're doing as well. Then regarding the interaction among committees, well, and councils, standards and guidelines is essentially a cross-council body, both in its composition and its objectives. We have people from all the councils coming together to harmonize and to keep the standards consistent and usable by as broad an audience as possible. So most of the initiatives brought to the committee are initiated in one of the councils as part of a project, but within standards and guidelines, we try to identify opportunities for a broader audience. So our plans for the future, we have guidelines harmonization project, which is an ambitious quest to provide the different councils with guidelines on how to set up new messages or how to extend the standards in a way that's consistent across the organization. Developing product directory guidelines with the Seed Council, seed royalty report, and entity product synchronization. Those are the things we have on the horizon right now. Regarding documentation or further documentation about what we do, on one hand, we already discussed the wiki. Then also you have the specific web page of the committee on the AgGateway website, and you can see the URL here on the screen. Now, if you're interested in getting involved with the committee, just email info@aggateway.org. There is no cost to participate. We meet once a month, a second Thursday at 12 p.m. Central, typically for an hour and a half. The total time commitment is maybe 3 or 4 hours a month. You know, 1.5 hours for the meeting, and 1.5 to about 2.5 hours preparing for the meeting, reading documents that have been presented to the committee for review, that sort of thing.
Thanks, Andres, for that committee overview. We do encourage you to attend this or any committee meeting of interest while you're at the AgGateway Annual Conference in Las Vegas in November. And for additional information, visit the website at AgGateway at www.aggateway.org. Thank you, and have a great day.